So the first order of business, besides calling to order at 6:31, is every board's been after every new appointment, we have to reorganize, so to say, in terms of discussing and electing a chairperson and a vice chair of a committee. So I would like to selfishly self-nominate myself for chair again. It is my second full season. I feel I can make good strides and still energized to do it. So I'd love to do it again. But if someone wanted to put their name in for it, you're more than welcome. And then we have a vice chair position, which we've never really had before, I think, but we have to create a vice chair that if the chair isn't available and there's some decision that needs to be made, the vice chair would, kick in, at that point and be the backup. So, I guess we'll start. So we'll start the chair. Is there any nominations for chairperson?
I
First, I'll
will.
second. I'll second your nomination.
I can, yeah. I don't know if I
Yeah, I
can
was gonna
nominate
say.
myself. So,
I,
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but
we'll
I'll
make a
nominate Phil.
motion then to
Oh,
go ahead, move you, Phil, for chair.
I'll
Second.
second. Good.
okay. And Shane, and any discussion? Anyone else want to put their name in? It's glorious. I just did it. I ordered a Monopoly hat and a monocle,
A monocle.
Monocle.
but it hasn't
That
come in
nice.
yet. Yeah, right. So, okay, so a vote. We have to do roll call. So the motion on the floor is for Phil Renzi to be chairperson. Dan,
Yes.
Frank,
Frank, you're on
He's
mute.
muted.
Frank, you're a mute. You're a mute, Frank. Thumbs up. Okay. Sam,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tracy,
Here.
and Garrett.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, are there any names in the hat for vice chair? I
I guess I'll throw my name in the hat. No one's going to say anything.
Here we go,
I'm a
Tracy.
vice chair on a couple other committees, but they're real estate related. But yeah, if anybody wants to hear my
I'll second.
crazy resume, I can give it to you. I follow Robert's rules, and
Okay, second. So we'll do a roll call for Tracy as vice chair. Dan,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tracy,
yes,
Garrett,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. I'm also always I don't know if I can vote for myself for chair, but I'll vote for myself for the last vote. I don't know how inappropriate or not that is, but we'll find out. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. We have a good year ahead of us. So the next thing we need to do is remember something from last year. Is we have if you remember, we had to meet an extra time last year. We after our final meeting, we had a second final meeting. So those minutes still need to be approved. And let me pull them up. Technically, you have to approve these at the next called meeting, which this is it. So that was Friday, March 28th. We met in the morning. That is not a misprint, if anyone who remembers. It was a morning meeting. And these are the minutes. We called to order, approved the previous meeting minutes, and then we had to talk about why we were meeting again, which was the second vote related to the radios and needed a revote so we could reappropriate the money, and that was voted. And then we had to take a final vote on the final amount last year, which was 2,152,000, and then we adjourned 20 minutes into it. So I would entertain a motion for approval.
The only thing I can see, I'm not sure how much it matters, but I don't think I'm on the members attending. And
Oh,
honestly, I wouldn't have remembered if it wasn't for that just first bullet point. So
okay. I will amend that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Anything else? Anyone see anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve pending the amendment of adding Garrett's name to the attending list.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. Um, sorry, I was going to show you that I'm changing the minute. I added Garrett to the members attending.
Great.
Okay. So roll call to approve the March 28, 25 Capital Planning Committee meeting minutes. Dan,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Sam,
Yes.
Shane,
Yes.
Tracy,
Sorry, yes.
and Garrett,
Yes.
and myself is yes. Okay, thank you. Appreciated. Okay. Next order, what I'd like to do is set up our meeting schedule, and then talk about when we want to invite the department heads. Last year, again, we had like an initial meeting like this, and then we had that extra meeting, but we managed to get through what we needed to do in about 5 meetings last year, and I'd say about 5 or 6 is probably about average for the last handful of years. We've been oh, hi Maureen, I'm just seeing you. Hi, I'm just seeing you. Good to see you. So nights of the week, this is where the stars align for 7 people, and we get 3 minutes in a week that we're all available. So last year was Tuesdays and Thursday nights generally, Wednesday, Monday, Friday nights aren't good. I will say Saturdays and Sundays I would not expect us to meet. So I'm looking at like Monday through Thursday. Are there any nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for people that just are not good no matter what?
Yes, Tuesday, and it's alternate Tuesdays, so I'm afraid it's going to be a little complicated, but Tuesday generally. I'm on.
Alternate Tuesdays. Okay. Starting like next Tuesday, you would not be available?
Well, it's actually in, let's see, 2 weeks from last Tuesday would be the,
Yeah. So last Tuesday was the 20th. So the third, so yeah, you were available the 27th, the 10th. We might actually be able to make that work.
good.
Because there is school vacation week thrown in the mix too, where I am out of
Mhm.
town, but it is also a vacation week. Any other nights for others that are just straight up like Monday through Thursday just wouldn't work even with advance notice?
Are you talking like vacation days or are you talking random?
Well, vacation days, the week I am not available from the 12th through the 19th. And so that for me takes, I was hoping to skip that week selfishly because of that. I'm thinking Tuesday, Thursdays. I was thinking if we could do, next, well, you're not available next Tuesday.
So I would throw in too, generally, no, I don't have any issue with days as well. I am for work, I am in California next week, so I'm not here next week.
Yeah, I would like to start meeting as soon as possible.
Agreed.
Could you meet remotely or no? You'll be 3 hours behind, so you wouldn't be, or you probably would be in the middle of whatever workday you're doing out there, correct?
Yeah, unfortunately.
The week of the 9th, we'd be
I'm good, yeah.
relegated
Week of the
to
9th, I'm good.
the 9th and the 10th, Monday, Tuesday,
The first
Those
week of
work.
March, I'm away.
February 9th and 10th. It's a
Um,
Monday and a Tuesday. If
the Tuesday the 10th, I may have a family commitment. But the Monday is fine with me. And then as far as general availability, my work day ends at 7 on Wednesday. So I can do Wednesday night, but I would just either be late or we could start later. I generally get home by like 7:30 on Wednesdays. So that's as like a standing issue. Otherwise, um, it's the odds and ends, and I'll make
yeah,
things work because we do this for such a short sprint. I know that this was coming.
okay. Yeah, and we would, yeah, and okay, Dan, you're all Tuesdays. Tracy,
Yeah.
you were saying March?
The first week of March, I'll be away. But I'll only be away with my kids. I can, if I have to get on, I can.
No, only your kid. Oh, it's only your kids, Tracy. Come
Like
on.
you said, 21 and 23, they don't care anymore.
This is this is capital planning. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's
It
let's
might be a
set
good
some
relief for me, actually.
make some priorities. Exactly. It's cathartic. It'll be like it's like therapy. You can
Right?
yeah, we can spend other people's money, even though it's kind of our money because we are taxpayers. So,
Sure.
I guess you can't get totally out of that. Frank,
Our
what about
early,
you?
yeah,
Anything?
Phil, just to say,
Yeah, Dan.
are the early mornings out of the question? Like 7
I can,
a.m. or so?
They
what are
are,
people?
won't work for me, except if they were Friday, and that's even iffy.
Yeah, okay. I generally am fine on mornings as long as I know in advance. So, outside of school drop off, it's sort of the problem is like 7 to like quarter of 8. I'm driving around. So
Yeah.
but generally I can make it
Yeah.
happen. If we needed to make a morning happen to get something underway or to finish something, I'm sure we could figure something out.
Yeah, maybe
Ideally,
that's the way to look
we
at
have, yeah, ideally the goal is that we have everyone in attendance, but there's an understanding with large groups that may not always be possible. So as long as we have a quorum, which is a majority, we could hold a meeting, but there's so many important decisions, as we all know, and it's important we all have
Yeah.
such a good outlook on these things and different sometimes. We'll try to get everyone. So Frank C, outside of early mornings, you're generally free Monday through Thursdays?
Yes.
Okay. And then Garrett, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good Monday through Thursday. I am kind of similar to you, Phil. Like I could make a one off or two off morning meeting work, but like I think regularly it might be kind of tough with the kids and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Same
Okay.
here.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's everyone. Okay. We can make something work. So, Joe Conway, well, I guess let's back into this. We need to have our final vote no later than March 13th, which is a Friday, because on Monday the 16th, we need to be able to send our final vote to Town Hall to get on the Town Council agenda, which is the following Monday, the 23rd. And so I have to present to Town Council on Monday, the 23rd. The week prior to that, the 16th, I have to send Sherry the information, which means really Friday, March 13th is our deadline. If we take out the vacation week and we take out next week, that leaves us a couple days, the 9th and 10th, the week of the 23rd. We should have more than enough time to do what we need to do. And maybe if by skipping next week, we can give departments enough time to schedule to attend our meeting, so it's not such a rush, maybe. But I know some, like the school department's probably eager to present, and DPW. So, what about Monday the 9th and Tuesday the 10th?
Works
For me.
Any
works for me.
objections?
Good.
Fine for
And
me.
is 6:30 an okay start time?
Hmm.
Yep.
Looks good for me.
Yep.
Okay, and then we wouldn't meet again until the week of the 23rd. What about the Monday, Tuesday of that week, 23rd, 24th? Joe Conway, when do you usually have do you have town council meetings you have to attend?
I
Budget
don't.
season? Do you have any idea what your February, which side's like a mess, looks like?
Yeah, no, nothing. Nothing in February that I know of. All of my stuff actually goes when the committees will go in front of the town council and the FinCom. So we'll all be together at
Okay.
that point. So the timing there is synced up. That even if I had a one-off or I had to drop in and give them an update on something, I mean,
Yeah.
I could virtually pop back into this in
Okay.
no time.
So how would Monday 23rd, Tuesday 24th sound?
Those work
24th,
as well.
Oh,
24th
24th you
is
can't.
I
That's your
can't do the 24th.
Okay.
that's your alt. No,
I'm back
Dan.
onto that skipping cycle.
First week of March, Tracy's away.
What about that Thursday, Phil, the 26th?
I have another committee meeting that Thursday night.
Gotcha.
How about the
Uh,
Wednesday?
We could do Wednesday. We just have to do later, right? Or
Yeah, I
oh,
don't like I don't know how to pay. I feel like
that's good.
7:30. Isn't everyone's brain off? I feel like it gets late. Like if you a 7:30 start time for a meeting is like mean because by like 40 minutes in, I'm half asleep. Um, I could do
Yeah.
if people want a late meeting, I generally try to shy away from late meetings. I feel like conversation gets a little choppy when people get
Yeah,
tired.
actually, I'm looking to. I even later on Wednesday I wouldn't be able to make anyway. So I
Yeah,
could do Monday, Tuesday, but yeah,
yeah. I'm only
wow.
51, but I guess I feel older when it gets to be 8 o'clock at night. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Yeah,
You're a kid.
The
too
All
many
kids.
right, so the
carbs. Yeah.
23rd that week.
So, yeah, the week of the 23rd. So, the 23rd, 24th, Monday, Tuesday. The next week, Tracy, I don't want to bug you on your vacation. I know you're
Don't
being
worry about
nice.
it. I'll be in the
What level
Bahamas.
of, okay, because I'd appreciate your work life and don't want to interrupt, but if you're looking for a break, then what about that week of, we could do Tuesday, Thursday, 3, 5? Would
How's
that
that?
work?
I could do that Monday as well again if that Monday works. The second.
I could do Monday. We could do Monday, Tuesday again, 2, 3.
Let me look. Yep, I can do that. And then possibly again if we need that Thursday.
Because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6 meetings. And then that gives us enough room at that point. We have that whole next week, the week of the 9th. We
If we
could
need it.
schedule a meeting like come March 2nd, if we still think we're far and we're going to need, we could schedule a meeting for the week of the 9th and then have our final vote by that week. So, do you want to, so why don't we hold March 9th, Monday?
Okay.
And we'll consider that right now. Hopefully, our final meeting. If needed, we would use that for final vote, or if there's by that point, I would hope departments would have come in. So, because that's the next discussion. I'll send you these dates, Joe, on email. But is there any order of departments? We usually have the police department and fire department in on a night. Schools and library, IT if they have any asks. We have the senior center if they have any asks, and then for DPW, Joe, I don't, we haven't seen the list, so I don't know what's on there. But are we going to have anyone from like parks? Like, do we have to? Should we have Fazio in, or anyone else in DPW present anything, or will you take care of sort of the umbrella of DPW this year?
I'll plan to take care of the umbrella. But if I need to, I'll have somebody here with me. I don't think, based on what is there, I don't think so. We'll have a little bit of overlap from my group with the schools, and then we're working on something with Karen Burke at the senior center too. So I'll be able to speak to a couple of different things this year. Um, Not totally out
Okay.
of the ordinary, but I should be able to handle all of it. You'll see it if for some reason I just have to break up a couple of things and photocopy the rest of it so you all have it. If for some reason something you think might trigger wanting to see like Dennis, our park supervisor, or something like that, I'll plan to have him here, but
Okay.
don't look
Yeah,
like
I
it
know.
needs to be
I was
that.
just thinking, and you're that out of the ass of DPW, that's usually one of the, there's usually a bunch from that Parks Department, but we haven't seen the list. So I was just, we're available if you want, if there was anything, you should feel welcome to come in. Okay, so February 9th, could we maybe, Joe, will you ask the department heads? Remind me, you are
I
you're our
will.
messenger for it?
So as
Yeah.
we've done in the past, anytime I kind of kick this off or at least start getting everybody thinking about it, I remind them all that they usually will be invited to a meeting. If they want to come in and advocate for what they're asking for, they're certainly encouraged to do so. So everyone knows. I think we'll definitely see Chief Scory, new Chief Purcell, and probably the new deputy. John Walsh will probably come in for the fire department. I was thinking, unless the group has, something different, maybe we'll try to get public safety in on the same night. And then, myself and the school department on another evening, if I can coordinate that. And then we'll sprinkle in Karen Burke and Catherine McDonald that the library has a request in this year too, that I think she's going to come in and talk about, but it's pretty self-explanatory. But
Okay. Um, for the school department, I know they just had a meeting. I'm looking feverishly for their schedule and when we can invite the school department in. They meet, anyone know offhand
Tuesdays.
is it every other Tuesday?
It usually follows when town council met. So I think they're like if we meet on a Monday, they're usually the Tuesday after us, the second and fourth Tuesday.
Second and fourth Tuesday. Okay. Um, so for February, that's the 10th and the 24th. So we couldn't invite them in on the 10th. Could we ask the school department? Okay, what about this? Public safety, so police, fire on Monday the 9th. We usually start with them, so why don't we start with them again?
Yep.
On Tuesday the 10th, Joe, could we do DPW?
Sure.
Is there any IT request? Would we expect and maybe the library? I don't know if Carol wants to come in on the 10th.
I will ask. I haven't seen anything from IT yet, but if there is, my recommendation will be the 10th is your slot.
Yeah, DPW IT, the school department, invite them for the 23rd,
Yep.
which is a Monday. And then library could come in the 23rd. If you can ask her if she can do that. If not, she's welcome to come the 9th, the first meeting as well.
Okay.
They usually have, they're pretty good together notes. So library, senior center, you said we may, but whether or not they have to come in to present.
I'll
Okay, and then, yeah.
I'll ask Karen if she wants to come in with my group on the 10th, just because some of the overlap we'll probably have together. We can kind of have at it from both angles for you, save you a separate meeting and rehashing the
Yeah.
topic twice.
You're talking about the library?
Yeah,
Senior
no,
center.
for the senior center director.
Senior
Yeah, and I think that would be great because if we could get through those first three meetings, we will have met with all the departments by then, and then that really leaves us those last four meetings to go over, ask any follow-up questions and all that. So it would be great if we could. I think it would be great if we could get them in just right off the bat and just get us going, warm up the gears. So if that sounds okay, I'll send you a note, Joe, just to reconfirm. We'll put it in the minutes of what we're going to request for department presentations. And, I think we did ask, Joe, I asked originally when you sent out that departments prioritize any request, if they have more than one request, to send us a list with priorities.
Yep.
If they could send any photographs. I think last year there were a lot of things were like, oh, what's that? So anything pictures worth, maybe a few $1,000s if a picture could be worth if they send it. So anything they think would be helpful for us to see, that would be great. And then we'll hear everyone out, ask questions, and we'll start our deliberations. So okay, folks, good. That wasn't too bad. Good thing it's winter time. No one's leaving the house. So okay. Meetings, town council, finance committee, and then committee comments is really, so the last section is what I want to talk about is our budget. And then talk about, Joe is going to give us an update on last year's projects that were approved. And then if we have anything to look at for the FY27 tonight, Joe, do we have a list we can pull up at all, or should we just distribute and be ready to review it starting next meeting? Do you have anything you can share yet, or are you still compiling?
No, it's a little disorganized. I'm trying to put the last couple. I got thrown a little bit for a loop with the winter deciding to reappear.
Yeah.
Well,
this year.
it was only like 2 feet of snow, Joe. Like, I don't know, like it wasn't like it was 2.5 feet.
I'm right there with you.
You guys got a lot of work. I know there's a lot of snow. Okay, that's fine. So in speaking to town administrator D Casey, we have 2 million. So it's less than last year by about 7%. We had about 2.15 million last year. When I met with the town administrator, and I championed, as you can imagine, as much as possible for an increase, at least to keep up with cost of living. But the town budgets are under a lot of constraints. There's overages, and they're really trying to button down. So I think knowing how some towns have trouble even coming up with probably a quarter of this amount, I think we just try to do our best with the 2 million that the town has for capital planning, and we present our best plan. So 2 million is our goal. And again, it's 2 million less the leases that we'll talk about, that amount. So the actual amount for new projects, we'll see once we get that list, and they'll have how much we're paying in the leases, and then we'll know. But the bottom line is two. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Frank, I was going to ask if anyone had any questions about any of that.
How is this figure formulated? How is it derived? What is it based on? Is it based on uh, ability to borrow? Or is it just a general ballpark figure that comes out of the tax
Yeah.
levy?
So we ask this annually, and the answer we get is the same. And what they say, and if you go to town meeting and you look at the financial booklet, all the different departments have a capital outlay line, and so the 2 million is a cumulative number spread out within the tax levy. So everyone has their budgets, and then there's a number within those budgets that seem to be or are outlined as capital. And someone in town, between the finance committee and the town administrator, look at all the budgets and come up with this number. Now, the exact calculation and the exact spreadsheet that shows 2 million, I don't have that. I don't know how, but my understanding is it's a cumulative number from the different departments in town. Joe, is any of that off base, or is that you're probably more familiar in your role? Is that sound about right on how this number comes to be?
I think so. And I think the only other piece to that, historically, I don't know, this may be pre-fill, but this warrant article, the budget for it was much lower, a couple $100,000. So, when you have good years, or years, where you're not bonding the high school and things like that, and you can incrementally try to build that up, that had happened for a series of time. And that's, something that was a lot different as far as the total appropriation versus the 2 million. They're trying to work up to that. And then, I think if the right doors open or the right things happen where the town has the capacity to do more, and it's not totally a burden on, the taxpayers out there, that could probably continue. I think, the state of the world and, some of the payments coming due in the schools this year, everybody has the message that, this year is going to be modest, or there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room or the potential for wiggle room to push. But my understanding is very similar to you, Phil.
Yeah. So, if that helps explain, we looked at this last year. I put this together a couple years ago. If everyone can make this a little bigger, but 2 million, we've been at 2 million since fiscal year 2015. So we're gone, there's some years, obviously 18, we're over, back down. COVID, we had to go in half. And so we originally had 1.9. That ended up being a million. We never got that million back in any way, unfortunately. So there were projects there that could move to this year. 2.1, 2.2, fiscal year 24 was a good year for capital planning in the town, it seemed. And now we're down about 7.1% less. So, with inflation around 3, this really equates, I think, closer to a 10% reduction in what we're going to be able to approve for capital. And so, we generally, like last year we had about 8 million in ask, 9, 6, one year. Look at fiscal year 23, it was a slow year. 3.8. So you could see the ebb and flow, but normally the requests are hovering around $8 million if you averaged it out, maybe 7 something. So I don't know, I'm sure we'll hover that way. So, and then, just, for anyone watching, if we were, last year was 2.15, almost 2.153, even at 3% increase a year, cumulatively, it adds up, quickly. It's the problem is when we're stuck in this 2 million, and I know budgets are tight. I get it, but this is our physical plant in town, and nothing's getting cheaper to fix, and things exponentially get worse, as we know, if they don't get fixed or we don't have heat. So, Marine, I guess, town council, and if anyone's from FinCom, like just for future, we really need. I know the budgets. I know the town's rough, but this is one of those budgets that really need to be looked at as a priority. So
But
we'll take the
also
2
our
million.
taxes also went up, Phil.
Our taxes went up, the
And
first,
the
the first
and
bit
each
of high
department,
school.
yeah,
Yep.
and each department has a separate small budget of their own as well, don't they?
They do. They all have their own little budgets that get approved
Right,
during the town meeting, correct?
right.
So we'll do well with the 2 million. We'll spend it. I'm sure there's more than enough in this town that needs it, but just hopefully moving forward, we start seeing more positives year to year than these negatives. That's what's really kind of leaving us, but we'll take the two. So that's our goal, folks. 2 million by March 13th. Okay, so I think we can do it. Joe, are there any questions on that before we move on to the review of last year's projects?
I do have questions, but maybe I need to talk with Dee because that explanation doesn't make sense to me, that this is the individual capital outlay lines in the
Well, no, that's
department
my
budgets.
explanation, Sam, and it probably
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Um,
I'm just
'Cause-
told a number. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
asked
yeah.
Dee for a number and she says, or I asked Steve Mayo before Dee, like, what's our
Mhm.
number? And then they say, your number is this. And I say, okay. So, and then
Yeah.
we ask. So my paraphrasing of how I think it's been explained to me and it's
Mhm.
more your wheelhouse in what you do in life.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Well, if you can, do you know, like, how do you do it in where you work? If you can talk about that at all. If you can't, then I
Yeah.
understand. But just
Yeah, yeah,
wondering,
yeah.
like, yeah,
Um,
because you work in a town or a city, right?
mhm. So I work in Burlington. The If a department has a capital outlay, and I think we've mostly weeded those out, that's a pot of money for the department to do some small capital. Um, so those capital outlays tend to be for like the requests that we've been like, that's way too small for us to be bothering with. The $5,000-$10,000 asks where that gives them the wiggle room to do those kinds of things. Um, but the capital budget is voted separately. We do a lot of it by item in Burlington, which is crazy. But like for us in Wakefield, it's a separate warrant article with all of those things listed, and I think the total amount. So it's a separate vote. So if those capital outlays are listed in the original departmental budget operating vote, then we wouldn't need to vote our capital piece. Um, so it should be a separate amount. And so what you're doing is you're just taking the total amount of revenue you bring in with Prop 2.5, local receipts, all of those things calculated, and then you start backing out, um, and then you figure out what your expenses are, and then a certain amount is going to fit for capital expenditures. And so I'm sure that the 2 million is what D is able to make fit under Prop 2.5, accounting for expected state revenue and other local receipts and things like that. So it is separate from operating in some senses, but still all part of what we can fit in the tax levy. So if state revenue, uh, state aid went to the town, went up, that would give us more room for other things. So it's not just taxes, there are other avenues for revenue. If we had more robust new growth, we'd have more room under 2.5. So like there's other ways to make it grow, I guess. But yeah, everything is tight and tough. And even in Burlington with a huge commercial sector, we're starting to sweat the lack of office space and
Right.
commercial problems and
Mm-hmm.
shifts aggressive to residential housing. So all of those things still impact this. But unless the state figures out new ways for towns to do the math, I don't know how much room D in the future is going to be able to have to say more than two,
Right.
unless Wakefield has some shocking amount of growth happening in the next few years.
Right. More money coming in. That's great. Thanks so much. That really helped explain. Frank, I think that should have explained. That's for his experience in Burlington, and we can certainly ask, but it sounds exactly how it should work. So,
Not to interrupt, Sam, you're spot on. That's
Mhm.
basically
Yeah.
right where you're at. Like I can only speak for my group, but if a $2,000 door broke, I'd never present that to you folks here. We would absorb that, through what we plan as our yearly operational costs. One thing that might make sense for the group, I know it's been talked about in the past. We haven't really drilled into it at all. But generally the rule of thumb, unwritten rule of thumb, is everything that comes through this, is over a certain threshold, so you're not looking at all the little nuts and bolts to things. I don't know if the committee wants to sit and think about defining that and, bringing Denise on board. I know there are some communities that would say an item isn't considered capital for a process like this unless it costs $20,000 and the life expectancy is 10 years plus, or something like that. That's something I know that, she has on her mind, and maybe, at some point we write down or define what the lane is that this operates in. It'll take a couple of different things to kind of be all in parallel for that to actually, come to fruition, but something on the future for sure.
Okay, thank you. I'll still always ask for more money, but I get it.
That's why you're the guy.
Because you got to ask, right? And we'll use it. So
I was gonna say,
get
I
it.
thought,
And Phil, can I chime in? You're always welcome to ask. I think Dee had a FinCom meeting earlier, like at the same time. But I would definitely invite Dee to a future meeting, one that's not on Monday. But I think it would be good for all of you just to, chat with her. And Sam, you're always welcome to meet with her individually. But I think for her, she wants to go to all the committee meetings. Just know today she was down the hall starting with FinCom. So don't do it on Thursday. Don't do it on Monday. But invite her to one of those Tuesdays, maybe.
I was going to invite you and then the FinCom liaisons and then D to all our meeting. I was going to send a message out. Here are dates. You're have Sherry make sure everyone gets an invite, and that way if someone can't pop on during any of those meetings, they're welcome to, and that would be great if they could. So, and I know she's expressed interest on wanting to attend and get caught up on how our committee works. So, because we only meet for such a short period of time, so there's not a big window to do that with us. So,
Yes.
great, thanks, Maureen. Okay, so Joe, do you want to bring up? Is there any more discussion, or do we want to move on to review of last year's approvals statuses? Okay, why don't we move on? Joe, do you want to share it? Can you share, or do I have to make you allow?
You need to give me the permission.
I have given you the authority.
All right. All right. I think we're good. Does everybody see the roll up basically from last year?
Can you make it up a little? Maybe give me a 125% or something like that.
You got it.
Here we go.
There we go.
Nice.
Does that fit the frame for you?
Early bedtime, large fonts. You know what life's like, and yeah.
I do. So my recap on this, nothing crazy, no real surprises in here. A lot of the same things that we talk about every time we have this conversation. Seasonally, you can get certain things done. Then other things, typically wait till the spring. With vehicles and things like that, where there's some lead time to them, all of those basically get ordered as soon as the town meeting vote can't be contested. So you'll notice a couple of those just waiting for delivery because there's lead times on things like that. But I'll just roll from the top to the bottom. Feel free to interrupt me. If not, I'll just keep going. But for anybody that may not remember from last year, so this whole top section here is all the prior year leases. Really what these are is instead of paying a lump sum up front for a particular project, you might finance it similar to like buying your car over 5 years. On the lease schedule, last year was the peak that we've seen, at least in the 6 or 7 years that I've been involved in this process. And this year, we saw a reduction, which will follow suit next year. I actually think we see about a 6-figure reduction in that. So the leases coming out of the top will be less impactful, as we go on. I know this year a lot of people are trying to avoid that if we have to, but obviously that's a discussion that this group will need to make. In your vehicle section here, like I had mentioned, basically everything is complete and delivered unless it's awaiting for delivery. And generally it's awaiting delivery because it needs to be built and you get in line and you wait for lead times. It's been a little bit all over the place with vehicles. If it's not labor, supplies, chips, and those other things. We still haven't completely come out of that, supply chain funk, but hopefully that will continue to trend and get a little bit better for us as we go.
Joe, sorry, I don't want to stop you, but
Go ahead.
can you just quickly explain column C and E?
Yes. So C, I'll just highlight this one right here. So C being the original ask, so the estimated initial value of this dump truck when I got fully updated. So what this truck is basically one of our frontline snow and ice pieces. So it's a big CDL vehicle that you see pushing the snowbanks back and plowing the streets. Column C, to buy this thing up front outright, they're about $320,000 now. This one, the way that the committee voted last year was to finance it over a series of years. So this was a 5-year payment, which knocked the impact, per article for the next couple of years down to $60,000 for this item. So
Got it.
a
So
lot of the things
column,
that'll happen too, like when we get quotes for things, and it's early because you're doing it around November. Sometimes things can change, but the first quotations tend to be a little bit more conservative. That way, whether it's the vendor, or the personnel from the town, they don't want to shortchange themselves or give a number that's unrealistic and too low, and then make the mistake of appropriating something that's not going to get the job done. So generally what will end up happening is as the group massages their way through this and kind of needs out all the things, we'll go back and actually tighten those numbers up. I end up doing a lot of it. I know the police chief will with some of his vehicles and things like that. So you may see this vehicle originally priced at about $140,000, but we can work it down to about 110. Whether it's negotiating trades, or altering some things, or shopping it to different vendors out there that are selling the supplies that we're looking for. That's how that lands in two different places. I know it could be a little bit confusing, and I should probably actually put a heading on that so that somebody that doesn't sit through these meetings can understand it, but I just haven't. My apologies,
got
but
it.
good question.
No, that makes sense. I was thinking all this stuff was leases, so that's helpful. I was thinking it was kind of like
No,
current
I'll
year
show
cost.
I'll show you that schedule in a second.
I have a question on the fleet.
Yes.
You have in the descriptive file, you have years 2008, 2012. Those are the existing vehicles that you have?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. And then what ends up happening is when the warrant article is printed, this 2008 would obviously be model year 2026 or 2025, whenever the vote was taken. But this is just to show, so this time last year, this vehicle had been on frontline for about 15 years of service. Give you a kind of an idea of the age of some of these things.
So yeah, for the first line there, equipment 29, you're buying a 2025 dump truck with a plow.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's replacing a 2008. Yep.
Right. Okay.
Replacing the one I saw go by in a tow truck the other morning. The poor thing.
Yeah, probably.
That full size, full of sand. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, we try to avoid that, especially this time of year.
I know.
Next up, so fleet and buildings is usually the big ticket items in this. We had some HVAC work that was approved for the library. That's actually advertised in bidding right now. We probably would have liked to do it a little later in the fall, but it's no secret my group was dealing with a little bit of a trash issue that kind of took priority over some things. But that's out on the street, and we hope to be constructing that before the cooling season kicks off. Town hall, the money for the shingled roof here, it's just a case of not being able to fit everything in the time that we have before the weather starts to turn cold and breaks. So it's scheduled for the spring. The senior center, the bottle fillers, that's something that we're still working on right now. It's kind of in the middle of the project to get that installed. We anticipate that wrapping up relatively shortly. Same thing with the Civic Center, the window grates along the basement. That's something that we have tentatively scheduled for the spring. The Galvin School hot water heater, same deal. And then we're waiting delivery on a couple of the bottle fillers for there too. And then rounding this out, the ADA improvements that we talked about last year will be a spring thing too. Really, any of the physical construction that we do, it all depends on what the weather is going to dictate to us, and can we pour concrete or do some of the things we need to do without it freezing and get, the best thing for us.
What were some of those ADA improvements, since we approved that amount of money, what are you planning on? What types of little projects around town, are you going to be doing?
So we have a whole host of different things between what our engineers and building staff here have identified in some of the transition plan that we have for the town. The ACE building is certainly something that we focused about. I don't
Yeah,
have it open in front of me, Frank, to give you the specific ones that we talked about, but I believe it was working on some of the ACE building accessibility, and other things about, getting people to where they need to be with a compliant ramp or a door pull and things like that. This
okay,
is
I
something
just
that
was seeking a general answer, really.
Yeah, this is something that generally, so our town engineer is also working pretty heavily with the Disability Commission. So they'll come to us with projects too, obviously, because they have, the pulse of people in that community that may be affected in a mobility sense. So we've been trying to, make sure that we can constantly make improvements in that area.
Okay,
How did you
Uh,
save so much money on the electrical upgrade at the school? It was $30,000 difference, it looked like. If you go back up a little bit to the
Doyle,
Doyle, $30,000 difference.
line 38, row 38.
oh,
Yeah.
you're faster than me. Yeah, so here's a good example of being able to take, the original estimate and then shop it between different vendors. Tim's due diligence got this thing way down. We kicked in and helped out a little bit on this, but you know, again, one of those things, the better number that we get, obviously, the better, well, the further that this can go. That's just an example of, not stopping the due diligence and working everything. That $40,000 quote may have been a little too conservative in the beginning, if I'm being honest. But, obviously a much favorable number in the end there. Let's see, FPC, so that's just shorthand. Forestry, park, cemetery, basically anything that's on a road or a sidewalk that may come in. Remember we talked about the Maple Way Playground. That is all set to start doing some of the fencing and different things that softball asked us about with the fields at Maple Way this spring. Waited to spring because we're also successful in getting an earmark that would supplement this. So the original ask was $100,000. This article appropriated 50, and then a state earmark was able to replenish the other $50,000 that was originally asked for. So that will be going as soon as the snow melts, and I'm cautiously optimistic that that won't be July.
I hope not.
And then the other thing in here, the play area at the back of the Walton School was done late this summer, early fall.
And there was a lot of promises about that Walton area being fenced off, let the grass root, because last time this was done. And so that's what I'm hoping people will do. I know people will be eager to get on it after the snow melts, but it's going to need time. So is that the school department in charge of that, or is that parks? That is the parks department because it's under FPC, or who's in charge of maintenance of that area at the Walton?
Little bit of an overlap. So as far as policing it, making sure that people stay off of it, obviously the school department, committed to that because obviously they want it to be successful. And then between their presence that they have out there and then DPW staff being out and about and on the property all the time, it's a combined effort to try to make sure that the area that's cordoned off, so the grass seed, establishes and it gets, real nice thick root system actually takes place. Anybody and everybody up there that knows about it is, policing that and to make sure that this investment goes as far as it's supposed to go and doesn't become something that we look at as a pain point in the future. Let's see, next section, miscellaneous. So this is kind of anything and everything that doesn't fit into either a building, a vehicle, or, open space. The only one that I do not know the answer to is the two-way radio upgrade and replacement. I just needed to confirm that with Tim. We've been playing phone tag over the last 2 weeks, and I have not done that yet.
Well,
Rebuilding some of the
that was the one. That's why. So I think this list might need to be updated because that's the item why we had to meet after our initial vote because the school ended up buying those.
Or we got a
And then
grant or something.
didn't we approve something at the Dole Bear to replace that? I'm looking for our final
Yes.
I'm looking for our final revote right here. Here we go. So
if that's the case, Phil, I probably just updated this rundown off of the list that you modified. I wasn't at the last meeting, but
yeah, it was under the Walton School. It should be another Parks Ass Playground 2 rubber surfacing for Dole Bear 125 because that was the amount and the radios were removed. So
you're
because
100% right. So
yeah,
I have the wrong list here. My
okay.
mistake. You
It's
passed
just
the
that.
litmus test.
Yeah. Delete
That
radios,
yeah,
add
that hasn't
playground rubber.
Comes
that
up to
one's
the right number.
that one's not done yet at the moment. Again, another spring one. That stuff's kind of picky. I think the temperature's going to be a certain set, for that to go in, either not melt or be able to establish itself. So there's a window of how hot it can be and how cold it can be. That'll be a
Okay.
spring one for us. We have a couple of rebuilds, so rather than buying new pieces for some of the vehicles we bought, new plows and things like that, we're going to rebuild them. Two of them, two Sanders, two plows, and we'll basically double the amount of life expectancy we get out of it, by taking the time to take them apart and refurbish them. We also got money for traffic sign printer. We're just waiting for the rest of the pieces to come in. That's why that's ongoing. Again, the trash thing kind of got a little bit of a distraction, so that one got put towards the fall. We have a backhoe going out. So if you remember, water and sewer got a new frontline piece for them. That thing does yeoman's work. And we had an old backhoe that was 1995 that our parks division used. There's still life left in the machine that we replaced, maybe not digging water mains at 12, 13 feet deep, the 0-degree weather. But for stumps and things like that, there's a lot of life into it. The machine just needed, some things like hydraulic lines and whatnot updated, a new hood and a couple of, paint spot repairs. We'll be able to run that machine now instead of asking for a new one, for another 12, 15 years. So that's scheduled to go out in the spring as well.
Thanks.
We had a couple of asks from the fire department, so a grant match, and then their onboard vehicle computers. Let's see, there's a camera system upgrade for DPW. So this is split into 3 sections from the general fund, places like our yard waste site and the barn, our building on North Ave. And then we have a little bit of money appropriated from water and sewer for some of their stations. This has been ongoing. It's just one of those things, we've been working on it as we've been moving along. We just haven't been able to get it finished yet. So would think that this should be done in the spring once we can get the winter to calm down and we can button up the last few things that we have. So sewer and water, 2 different buckets of money if you want to think it like that. So the enterprises are self-funded. So they're all driven from the rates. So anything that comes out of sewer here does not affect the tax levy. It would affect the sewer rate, and the same thing for water. Very similar to tax. A couple of prior year leases here with sewer. The big one being we had purchased a vac truck to help us with some of our excavation for our staff there. Obviously, almost a $700,000 piece of machinery. So, we spread that out a little bit to make it a little bit more absorbable. All those payments have been made. You will see, so pavement saw 50% shared by both water and sewer, right? If we're doing work in the street, we need to cut the street to do sewer work, we're going to use this. If we're going to do it for water, we're going to use this. So generally what we'll do is we'll take the total amount of money that we need for this, and we'll just split it between the enterprises. That's why the 50% here in the middle. It's not that we're buying half of it or anything like that. It's just, spreading out the funds. We talked about the camera upgrades, and then we have a standing line that we utilize every year in both of the enterprises called system improvements. What this is throughout the year, we do a lot of camera line investigation and sewer. And in that, we're able to discover where, pipes are misaligned, there's joint issues, things like that. This gives us a pocket of money that we can go out and do dig and fix repairs to that. If we need to replace a manhole, things like that. And then it also allows us to have money available should we have a pump failure or something like that in the 7 pumping stations that we have out there. And water, last but not least, leases like we talked about. This is the new backhoe that we purchased that allowed us to kind of recycle down our old one into parks and forestry. The saw and the cameras we spoke about. Hydrants. So generally we have between 8 and 10 hydrants in stock, ready to go. If they get hit, we have all the parts and everything that we need so that we can be out there basically within 24 hours and get those back in. We needed some more stock because we were running low, so we were able to do that. I think we're waiting for the last couple to show back up, but we should be good there. Then the same thing here with water, like sewer system improvements. So things like we break a gate or a gate fails out in the street. They're not cheap. Some of these things can cost up to $30,000, $40,000. So it's the funding available too, to God forbid, if you need something that the operating budget, can't do, you have the means to be able to replace it. And then if not, an emergency that comes up, then we can proactively take our oldest assets out there as they depreciated and start picking away at them this way too. So with all that, that is basically your rundown from last year.
So Joe, the backhoe,
Yes,
it looks like you have a 3-year lease,
correct.
or did you just get it for a better price?
No, that one was a 3-year payment on that one.
Okay.
I wish I could buy it brand new for $65,000. That'd be
Yeah,
fantastic.
really. Yeah. I was thinking. Okay. Thank you.
Just to clarify, I think if I want to make sure I'm remembering this correctly, water and sewer, do they have essentially their own budgets outside of the capital planning committee? Is that kind of how it worked?
Um, yeah, so think of it like you have the tax levy, right, which is everything exclusive to water and sewer, which is generated by property taxes, excise taxes, things like that. Everything for water or sewer is all generated by rate revenue. So, we're essentially doing the same thing that Denise and me as the town accountant are doing on a grander scale, just shrunk down into these two. So they would
Mhm.
have their own thing, and then as revenue goes, capital can go. If we have a year where revenue is a little bit tight, the capital list tends to shrink a little bit. That way we can make sure that we're not too volatile, what we have going on for rate action every spring.
Gotcha.
Okay. Hey, you want to pull up the lease tab real quick? Does that show
Yep. So here's
So-
everything approved by the committee.
can you make that a little bigger? Sorry. I
Yeah,
don't know
sorry.
why. It's smaller, but it's here we go.
There you go.
Thank you.
Everything approved by the committee. So this top section here that I just highlighted, related to tax. So the payments we'll be responsible for 27 is 366 and change. This is down from just over 372,000. And then you can see, a good sized drop for fiscal 28. And then the 2 years following, you basically run that down to zero. Same thing, water, sewer. Blue Water. Here's all of our outstanding payments that we have for water, outstanding payments for sewer, and we don't have anything that stretches over 28 and 29.
Okay.
Big drop.
It's nice
Yeah,
to
well,
see.
that will help us out.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
You're very welcome.
Any questions for Joe?
Well, aren't we going to be adding to that, to the lease schedule here?
We could vote not to. We haven't, that's part of, I think, when we get through the list, we usually look at some of the big ticket and decide if that makes sense. So, we certainly, every year we usually do. But it would help us out with more money to use if we don't. But, sometimes it gets us these bigger items. So,
Just one question. That list was for the current fiscal year, is that correct?
that was last year's, right? That was FY 26. So that's the list we approved last spring. And that was
Minus the
approved
one
at last
voucher.
spring town meeting,
So we're currently in 27.
FY 27. So we're going to be reviewing FY 27. So
Okay.
we'll-
Are there any items from previous fiscal years that have not been delivered?
I think the only one I'm waiting for is a dump truck that we bought for water and sewer that I just crossed 400 days on, something like that.
so vehicle stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and only it's much like you'll hear the fire chief and deputy chief talk about it. When you get into some of these bigger things, nothing's off the shelf. They manufacture all of it, and you're literally at the mercy of all the planets aligning. Between getting the cab in the vehicle, and then it goes to another place to upfit it with the dumping features and things like that. So, you're a little at the mercy right now of everybody kind of still letting the dust settle from all those woes that we had for the last few years. But
So
that
there's nothing outstanding from 2 fiscal years ago or anything like that.
there shouldn't be. I'll run through it, and if there is, I can follow back up with you and give you
Okay.
an update. But generally, no.
Okay. It's good to know that things are mostly current then,
Yeah.
given all the problems with supply chains and trade and so forth.
Mhm.
That's the goal. I mean, you don't. I think you'd be doing this whole process a disservice to get something up, for a particular fiscal year, knowing that you're not going to finish it in relatively reasonable time. So everybody's been very good about that.
Yeah.
My opinion, if it makes any difference one way or the other.
What's your opinions matter, Joe? Like an episode of Mr. Rogers here. Of course, we love everyone's opinions.
Next time I'll wear my sweater.
Wear your sweater. We'll sing a song. We'll make up a little capital planning song, and we'll start every meeting in a kumbaya moment because that's what we need.
If you make
I
a song,
rescind
you
my
have to sing it.
vote for Phil as chair.
Yeah. Right, too late. But good idea. Yeah, good idea. I'm not a good singer. Okay. That's it for business, folks. We have nothing else on the agenda, so we just have to be remember, as a quick reminder, we can't discuss things offline, even on email. It's just with open meeting law. It's so important that we discuss things as a group within a called meeting. So if I ever send something out, like we'll send the list out, right, for FY 27, so we can get an eye on it before our next meeting. We shouldn't be discussing it or talking about it offline. So it's an easy enough rule if we just kind of across the board just don't do it, and wait for the next meeting. We can ask questions and we'll follow up at the next meeting. It's a very easy way to get around any problems with that. Outside of that, I would look for a motion to adjourn at 7:35.
Again, just to confirm, you'll be sending out the dates again, right?
Yes,
Just so
sir.
we can.
February
Yeah.
9th and 10th are the next two, if you want to.
Exactly.
I'll send it, if not tonight, first thing tomorrow, I'll get an email out to you all with those dates.
Perfect.
Yep.
On that note, I second.
Was there a first?
Oh,
I
sorry.
moved.
I thought you did.
Who's I?
Sam.
Oh, hey, Sam. Thanks, Sam. And Shane second. Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, leave the meeting. I think that's what another one of my chairs says on Zoom. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you on February 9th, and I'll send an email with some info And Joe, when you get your feet under you from the snow, send me that list and we'll distribute, okay?
Yep, Phil, I'll start peppering you with a bunch of stuff. It'll probably, because of the size of some of the PDFs, there'll be a few. I'll separate it by department for you.
That's fine. Send it and then I'll distribute accordingly.
Gotcha.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thanks,
Good job,
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Too. Bye-bye.